Hey, what's going on YouTube? I'm Blaze, and today I bring you a brief but detailed guide on how to win gunfights in Battlefront 2. For me, there are 5 essential tips in learning how to win gunfights, and we're going to jump straight into it with number 1, which is when to engage and when to retreat. In learning when to engage, the most important thing is knowing how many you're facing and in what direction. So if you're facing a group of, let's say, 5 regulars from behind, it's fine if you just pick them off one by one. Probably a few of them will get away as they're running towards the objective, but you'll at least be able to pick 3 or 4 without the others turning on you and shooting you. However, if you try and attack 5 enemies from in front, that kind of combat just does not exist. You will be annihilated, even if they're total noobs. So I recommend keeping it a maximum of 3 enemies head on, and never shooting more than 1 enemy without killing the first if approaching from behind. It also helps if you monitor their cooldowns, so for example if you see a heavy just throws impact grenade, which gets rid of his burst damage for the future fight, it's really good to take him on then, as opposed to later when he could burst damage you with an impact grenade. Also take note that cover around you is extremely advantageous, and you also want to take on enemies when they don't have a lot of cover around them, so that you can turn it into a quick gunfight and an easy win for you. As for when to retreat, it's a pretty obvious and easy one. If there are a lot of enemies shooting at you, run away, do not try and get a kill before you die, because realistically getting behind cover, you'll be able to take down 2 or 3 as opposed to just 1 with your final shots. Similarly, shooting enemies on the back whilst retreating from enemies that are chasing you will only get you killed, as whilst you shoot you'll be slowed down and the enemies behind you will just pop you in the head. Now on to number 2, which is the point that will differentiate between a good player and a great player in Battlefront 2, and this point is knowing how to engage. And there are 3 main ways to engage. The first is corner peeking, so looking behind cover, zooming in, popping in and out, and shooting enemies in the head. The other way to engage is by jumping and shooting them in the head, which also works well, except you won't be aiming in. And the third is just strafing, similar to a corner, but also involves rolling as well. You should be using the corner peeking method for 1 or 2 enemies at a maximum running down a corridor. You should zoom in and you should peek out of the corner and try and shoot them in the head. If they start shooting back, move back behind the cover, and then I'd recommend switching to something else, because this method only really works when you're caught unaware. Otherwise they'll just have the crosshairs on the edge of the corner and they'll actually end up shooting you before you shoot them, which is not great for your health. As for jumping and shooting, this should be used against large groups of enemies and in any kind of close quarters situation, as well as against enemies with slow fire rate weapons such as snipers or officers with the S5. Then the zooming and strafing method should be used for a maximum of 2 enemies at mid to long range if you've got a slow fire rate or mid fire rate weapon, but if you've got a really fast fire rate weapon, like for example the Blug or the SE-44C, using it at close range can work as well, as long as your enemies don't start rolling all over the place. As for the rolling bit, you should use that to throw off your opponent's aim randomly and also to get behind cover. Whilst we're talking about rolling, the third point is going to be how to use rolling effectively, and this is very basic, but have to go over it anyway, because any new players listening to this will find this very helpful and potentially game-changing. So you want to use this when pulling off abilities such as the improved battle command, or toughen up, at which point you'll be moving whilst pulling off an ability that doesn't let you shoot during its duration. Along with just rolling whenever you can in order to throw off opponent's aim and keep the damage off you, the other method of rolling is to roll when your gun overheats, which it needs no explanation really. The fourth point is exclusively for console players, as this won't apply to PC players, but I assume most of you are on console anyway. This point is to effectively use the aim assist, because the aim assist works in a particular way in Battlefront 2. Not only does it slow your crosshair when you move over an enemy, which is just general aim assist, you can't really exploit that much, but the other feature of aim assist is that when you zoom in, it will immediately snap onto the nearest enemy within a certain boundary. And this can be very useful by putting your crosshair just generally above where enemy's head should be, and whenever you see an enemy, quickly tapping the zoom button, you'll immediately lock onto the head and get basically a free headshot. And this is especially vital when using specialists, so for example the NTT-42, you can pull off some ridiculous quick shots using this feature on console. Also, if you have the double zooming also snaps on, but that's just a kind of side note that I found out yesterday. Spamming the zoom button can also work sometimes, but most of the time it's just better to aim. If you're really bad at aiming, then using this just to basically zoom in whenever you can and sometimes spam it as well can be helpful, but really bringing me on to my fifth point, the one thing that will make you the best at this game as possible is playing a lot and just getting your aim better, and there aren't really any tricks to this, you just need to grind it out simply. There is one thing you can do, which is to put your sensitivity really low for you, so I recommend like a 15 or a 20, somewhere where you're comfortable with it even though you might not be able to turn around as fast, and then every day or so just put it up a notch whenever you play, and so you'll slowly get used to a higher sensitivity, which is really helpful for turning around obviously, while still being able to shoot enemies without just missing. Anyway, that's going to round up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, subscribe for more content like this and better. Please leave your feedback in the comments below. Other than that, bye.